Aloha! Good evening. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Naimbaga Sardam. Maayong gabi sa inyong tanan. I'm yours truly, Dr. Mary Faye Axon Armstrong, founding president of the Asian American Pacific Islander Nurse Association of Nevada and professor at Roseman University College of Nursing. It's Halloween night tonight, and some of you consider this Hallelujah night an opportunity to share your faith with others. And tonight is the last day of the month of October, the year 2022. And we have several October national observances in relation to keeping yourself healthy. One of them is health literacy. Literacy, understanding about what health is, what you consider good health, bad health, what's considered normal. Also, the month of October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And lastly, Mental Health Awareness Month. It's actually also a Filipino American Friendship Awareness Month. So we have celebrated all October health awareness during our past episodes. So we really should be bringing it everyday awareness about all health topics. So I decided to do a recap and share highlights of all of the episodes that we had in the past. So stay tuned, and we're going to talk about it one by one, and featuring some of our guest speakers for our October Awareness Month. So mga kababayan, here is one episode that we did back in September 2019 in celebration talking about behavioral health issues. We had Lorna Paxson. She's a registered clinical supervisor and former singer, and she is now taking care of patients who have behavioral issues. So let's listen. We are going to talk about a very important topic, close to the heart of a lot of many who are taking care of their loved ones, especially our elderly population. So there is a reason why I invited our special guest tonight, Ms. Lorna Santiago Paxson. So Mrs. Paxson is from she finished her BSN, her Bachelor of Science in Nursing, from University of Makati, Philippines. And also, she's currently a clinical supervisor at Desert Springs, and it's in a Psych, right, Lorna?
Yes. Good evening to all the listeners of PHLV Radio.
Yes. Do you wanted to share some personal information that you wanted to share to our listeners? Something that could catch their attention, that you're Filipino and that you're here in Las Vegas, and what you can share with them.
Yeah, I've been here in Las Vegas for about going on 9 years now. Well, before I became a nurse, I was a singer in a band, and I've been traveling with a band, and my last gig was in a cruise ship that travels around the world. So on my vacation, I met my husband over here in Las Vegas, and the rest is history.
So you're now here. Well, mga kababayan listeners, I met Lorna while I was having my clinical rotation at Desert Springs. I have my group of 5 or 8 students who are practicing or experiencing to have their clinical rotation for mental health rotation. And Lorna was the charge nurse. She's the clinical supervisor at Desert Springs. And I said, oh, well, it's a give and take, right?
Yes.
I asked her to be my guest tonight, and then she asked me to be her mentor for her.
Oh yeah, it was a blessing. I mean,
yes.
It's meant to be for me to meet you over there.
Yeah, so Lorna is about to graduate from the Masters of Science in Nursing with a focus on nurse education from Grand Canyon University. So
yes,
pretty soon.
I know.
Yes,
October 18 is my graduation.
Yes, well, congratulations.
Yeah, few weeks from now.
Fast approaching, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she is following me and learning about, what a nurse educator do, and all the ups and downs and all of the good things and challenges.
It's not easy, but I've seen what you do, so
yes.
I wish I could do the same when I tackle this kind of, a career.
You can do it. You just put your mind to it.
Well, thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Armstrong.
Well, let me give a preview. Every time that I have a topic, I always have a preview about our topic. So I pulled out and did quite a quick research about behavioral health, especially focused on the older population. And I know most of you out there, I know that because our generation now is getting older, and a lot of our I think what they call the what generation is that? Traditionalist generation. The hippies now are older people, and so there's an increase in the older population. So Lorna is going to share with us her experience being the clinical supervisor at the Geropsych at Desert Springs. But I have here a 2018 Southern Nevada Behavioral Health Annual Report. And this is a report of all of the experts looking at what we can do better for our mental health population. And I think that you were explaining that there's a difference between memory unit versus psych unit. Can you give us a brief overview?
Basically, our behavioral health psychiatric unit, we take patients 55 and above. Those who has schizophrenia, bipolar, neurocognitive disorders, these are considered psychiatric illness. So they can have memory problems. Those patients with neurocognitive disorders, most of them has dementia, and we treat them. It's just a short-term stabilization unit. If depends on the progress of the patient, 5 to 2 weeks is the maximum.
And that was the interview with Lorna, who used to work at the Desert Springs psych unit. And this one that I'm showing right now is a interview with Dr. Rose Constantino regarding domestic violence. So let's take a listen.
Bio podcast with PHLV Radio, iTunes, iHeart, also Spotify. So those who are not able to listen to us live, they can listen to it later on. But I wanted to just give our listeners some information about you, Tita Rose, to say that you are an expert on the topic that we're going to cover tonight. So Dr. Rose Constantino, or I fondly call her Tita Rose, is she's a lawyer. And she's also has a Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing, and her expertise is in psychiatric mental health nursing. Her doctoral dissertation from the University of Pittsburgh School of Nursing in Pennsylvania is Nursing Care of Widows Through Bereavement Crisis Intervention. And currently, her passion right now is writing about intimate partner violence, which is also close to my heart when I got involved first in, I think it was early 1990s when I got involved with a Filipino project advocacy. But I wanted to also give you an opportunity, Tita Rose, to share with our listeners about something about you professionally and personally.
Well, I started really getting interested in the plight of women who experience abuse when I was in law school. In one summer, we were asked to volunteer in a center for the neighborhood legal services. And at that time, I didn't know. I went to the orientation, and there was a lawyer there, a senior lawyer, who was also working with the neighborhood legal services, and I shadowed him. And the way how he treated the women who came to the neighborhood legal services seeking representation when they go to court for their PFA, we call it protection from abuse. In Pennsylvania, the law is called Protection from Abuse. That is the name of the law. And we use that law to protect women and children and men sometimes who are also abused to get their freedom from the injury or the potential abuse that they will be receiving. So I shadowed him for 1 month, and I think it was that at that time I said, when I grow up, when I become a lawyer, I would be like him. And that was then the starting point of my interest in working with women. So we would be assigned 4 cases in 2 weeks because it takes 14 days to really go to court back and forth and secure the protection from abuse that we need from the judge. But again, as we are told in our orientation, that's just a paper that they receive. We ask them to put 1 copy in their purse, 1 copy in their workplace, and 1 copy of that PFA in their home. But really, those papers don't protect them from a gunshot or a knife or a fist or a slap. That paper doesn't protect them. It's just the judge signing on to that, you can no longer injure this survivor of your violence, the perpetrator's violence. So knowing that paper doesn't really protect them, we were looking for ways how we really can strengthen their resolve to safety, to seek safety, and to make their decisions and how to protect themselves and the children that they are with. So,
Tita Rose, can
yes.
you? I'm not familiar with the PFA, which is, you said, protection from abuse. I'm familiar with TRO.
Marife,
Yes.
You speak louder. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna get closer to the
or
microphone.
There's a backdrop or something about. There's an echo.
Oh, there's an echo. Okay. Well, I'm not familiar with PFA, which is the protection from abuse that you were talking about. I'm familiar with TRO. I forgot what TRO stands for. Do you know what TRO stands for?
Protection.
It's
from abuse.
yes. So
You're not.
And there you have it, with Dr. Rose Constantino talking about domestic violence. And I really like it that she emphasized the importance of understanding that domestic violence does not only happen with it does not only happen with women. It also happens with men. And I really enjoyed that interview with Dr. Rose Constantino, and she's also my Tita Rose. She's one of my mentor. So I intentionally highlighted 2 of the interviews that I did with Filipino nurses, especially the women, who are reaching out into the community and helping the community with the challenges, not only with our health, but also with the challenges with life. So I'm also going to highlight another interview with, it's more a suicidal behavioral suicidal issues that is faced by our community out there. This one was an interview with Jessica Carlston and co-hosting with Dr. Kay Fontanilla. Actually, we're going to highlight more of the Minority Mental Health Awareness Month when I interviewed Dr. Jay Tan. So here it goes.
Topic. July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Each year, millions of Americans face the reality of living with a mental health condition. Mental health conditions do not discriminate based on race, color, gender, or identity. Anyone can experience the challenges of mental illness regardless of their background, and however, background and identity can make access to mental health treatment much more difficult. National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month is observed every July to bring awareness to the unique struggles that racial and ethnic minority communities face regarding mental illness in the United States. The COVID-19 pandemic has made it harder for racial and ethnic minority groups to get access to mental health and substance use treatment services. This year, the theme of Mental Health Association's 2022 Mental Health is Back to Basics. After the last 2 years of pandemic living, many people are realizing that stress, isolation, and uncertainty have taken a toll on their well-being. Well, our well-being, as I belong to the minority population as a female older adult Filipina.
And mga kababayan, as I mentioned earlier, I know that this episode was broadcast in July, and I'm emphasizing earlier that we really should be aware of all of these conditions, physical, mental, spiritual conditions on a daily basis. So that's why I'm showing this with you and sharing it with you. So I'm gonna move it
And
forward.
according to 13 to 18, Act 11036 and initiated the first city ordinance in Cebu City related to mental health care sa barangay. He co-founded the Kalahi Philippine Folkloric Ensemble, a cultural community-based organization aimed to unite Filipino Americans in Las Vegas through preservation and promotion of Filipino heritage, arts, and culture. He is a Philippine Nurse Association of Nevada advisor, and he formed the Evidence-Based Practice Committee. Dr. Tan is a member of Clark County Emergency Corps and a member of the Zeta Kappa chapter of the Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society for Nurses. So without further ado, welcome to Healthy Mondays.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong, and thank you for inviting me here. This feels like home at PHLV. We have a lot of projects for community through media, through this station. So I'm very, very grateful and back again after the pandemic.
Yes, and it is our honor to have you in our show. Please say hello to our listeners and share your story.
Well,
Humble beginning.
hello everyone, and I've heard of and I've known of Healthy Mondays long time ago when I met Dr. Armstrong. That was years ago, and of course she brought this from Hawaii, right? So we're
Yes.
very, very fortunate to have this program also in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas we have a lot of minorities. Also, of course, it's not as much as ratio in Hawaii, but Filipino thrive in Las Vegas community. So the minorities here are also very, very strong. So it's so nice to have somebody who initiated a program like this, who looks at the health and the welfare of the minorities, the Asian population, and Pacific Islander in this big town of mixed culture and diversity.
Yes,
So I
and
want to say hello to everyone who's listening. This is vibrant Las Vegas with all its flair for the various culture mixed in one. We call it Vegas.
yes, Viva Las Vegas. And if you can see Dr. Tan's outfit and my outfit, we represent the Filipino culture.
Yeah, and we're very proud of that. And of course, I have to compliment your favorite color, your purple.
Purple, yes. It's a color of royalty, right?
It is. It is a color of royalty. And also, it stands for mental health.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I like purple because it makes me happy.
Oh, good.
Well, Dr. Tan, can you share with us your story as a minority health care provider and how it came about?
Wow, a story as a minority healthcare provider and how it came about. Well, I'll summarize it really quick. I'm one and a very proud Filipino nurse, I would say. And I kind of pause a little bit when I say Filipino nurse because I'm not just a Filipino nurse. I'm an OFW, and I'm very proud of that I integrated into the mainstream healthcare of the United States and coming over as an overseas contract worker, just like many of the Filipino who are considered our heroes. I came over here to work, and I'm in contract at the time, so that's why I got hired. But I came over here, I always believe that you make good, better, best, and do the most you can. So after that stint of about 5-6 years of being a contract worker, a nurse who has to work here under H-1A visa, I further my studies. So I have to keep going on until, to cut the story short, I went into the academia. I finished 3 nurse practitioner degree, 2 master's degree, and then my doctorate degree. So then it propels me to some other bigger tasks, not just caregiving at the bedside. I went into leadership, academia, publishing, and leadership roles. And then until I become in the board of nursing, and that's I'm very, very proud about. I'm
Yes,
very proud
we're
to
all
say
proud of it.
from OFW to
Filipino.
become the first Filipino president in Nevada State Board of Nursing for 3 consecutive years, and then that's appointed also by the governor. By then was Governor Sandoval, and then elected into the position of being the president, and then propel myself out into national, where I become the committee and then later on the chair for NCLEX, National Council of State Board of Nursing, under NCSBN, for the examination for nurses throughout the U.S. and Canada. And I've been doing that for a while. That was my passion until we created the new exam coming up in April 2023. So I'm one of those.
And that was Dr. Rigel J. Tan, who I interviewed last July. This next one that I'm going to share is an interview with Dr. Andrew Reyes, and he specializes in post-traumatic stress disorder.
Tonight, every Monday is special. So tonight, I have my best friend forever, a nursing colleague, Dr. Andrew Reyes, as our special guest. Hi, he is also an Pino of Nevada founding member and professor at UNLV School of Nursing. He is with us tonight to share his knowledge and expertise about PTSD. And June is PTSD Awareness Month. So welcome to Healthy Mondays, Dr. Reyes.
Welcome. Thank you for having me tonight, Dr. Armstrong.
Yeah, so we're just talking about we're all busy. We're back to our campus June 8th. We're still following the precautions, of course, wearing masks. We were given our special mask right there. And all the washing hands, in soap and water, 20 seconds at least, and the social distancing, right? So, but tonight is our PTSD Awareness Month awareness. So maybe Dr. Andrew Reyes, if you could share with our listeners out there about your background and a little bit about yourself.
So I am an assistant professor at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, and I am a nurse, and I am a psychiatric nurse as well. I've been a psychiatric nurse for over 25 years, working in psychiatric hospitals, different psychiatric hospitals. And so my research is about resilience of people with PTSD, with post-traumatic stress disorder. So resilience is your ability to positively adapt in the midst of adversities. And so no matter how, the adversities that you are subjected to, you are able to come out feeling very well, and also you have positive outcomes. You just don't develop mental illness so easily. And so that's my research program of resilience of people who have been traumatized. Yeah.
So how did you start with working on PTSD as a nurse researcher?
So as a nurse researcher, so I am very much interested in looking at resilience. And so the one way of studying resilience is in people who have been traumatized, who have been subjected to a traumatic stress. And because many people, they don't develop PTSD. So as a matter of fact, in the American population, about 60 to 70% of the American population are subjected to a traumatic event. So when we say a traumatic event, it is something that, we have what we call a DSM, Diagnostic Statistic Manual. It's a manual for the psychiatrist, for psychiatric nurse practitioners, and how to diagnose mental disorders. So a traumatic event is an actual exposure to actual exposure to an actual or threatened death or serious injury or sexual violence. So many of us are 60 to 70% of us are exposed to a traumatic event in our lifetime, but only 7% of us will develop PTSD. And part of that is because of our resilience. We're actually resilient more than we think we are, right? We think we are kind of weak, but we are really strong emotionally, psychologically. We're able to actually, overcome these different kinds of stressors, especially those stressors that are really traumatic to us. And that is resilience. And so that's why I came to be interested in people with PTSD, because I really want to study how resilient they are.
So I think resiliency also equate to how best we respond to trauma and how best we react to it. And also, do you think our past experiences also is one of
there's a lot of factors that affect the way the way we are resilient to traumatic events. A lot of in research is really mostly about our social support, because for example, Filipinos have a lot of a big extended family, supportive family. We really capitalize on the importance of family. We always say, a family that prays together stays together. So same thing as well, because we have a strong social family support, we are resilient. And I conducted a research study on Filipino American women, and there is really a low percentage of Filipino American women with PTSD. And part of that is because we have a strong family support. And so that's one key factor, one of the main factors that really makes us strong psychologically and emotionally.
Did you find about belief in God or religion?
Yeah. Of course, yeah, that's another one as well. Your faith in God, but also even your faith community as well, right? So your belief in God, it really is a very major contributing factor to being resilient to traumatic event. But also your faith community, the people that you go to church with, for example. Some denominations, for example, they only don't go to church every Sunday. They go to some prayer meetings as well. That creates some close bonds as well, and they encourage one another. And so that's kind of an example of a social support that helps us deal when there is a traumatic event.
Oh, just like at my church, we had in our women's ministry, we have like spring or fall women's night. And we even had Christmas tea party. One of the questions I have, and I know I share these questions with you on behalf of our listeners out there, how can our listeners become aware about PTSD, and how can they detect early signs and symptoms at home setting?
It's really hard. Sometimes it's really even hard. It's not like COVID-19. Like we can prevent ourselves from COVID-19 from being exposed to people who have COVID-19. With PTSD, it's a little different, right? It's not that we can prevent PTSD, because PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, to be diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, you need to be exposed to a traumatic event, So sometimes, we're going along with our day, we think everything is going along, and all of a sudden, somebody attacked us. We're in an elevator, for example, going to our office, somebody attacked us there. Or somebody rear-ended you, and then it caused you a traumatic event as well. So traumatic event happens to us, and it's hard to prevent that. And so our way is to, it's more about how we respond to those traumatic events. But
when the gun lobby needed a pitchman to help them block.
Well, as happens. Oops, that's what happens when you are in YouTube. So let's bring back Dr.
We have
J.
depression, anxiety, or mood swings. But it only when we start talking about mental health in our household that it becomes a day-to-day activity. That when you start feeling this, then you start opening up to get help.
Yes.
I think that's a baby step forward there.
And I think when they hear, nakikinig sila sa atin ngayon, hopefully yung mga nakikinig, take down some notes or realizing, oh, yun pala.
Yes.
Ganun pala yan. Kasi this is the only way na ma-increase ng awareness. Kasi pag lagi mong naririnig yun, maaalala mo, oh, ganun pala. Oh, si ano pala, si Maria o si kung sino yung nasa harapan mo, ganun palang nangyayari sa kanya. Alamin natin kung ano pang nangyayari. Kasi sometimes, I know at one point we have to give people medications, right? Because of the imbalance, the chemical imbalance. Pero sometimes, kung naagahan na malaman nila ganito palang nangyayari. Minsan yung dialogue lang nakakatulong na sa tao, right?
Exactly. Talking about it
talking
makes
about
it normalizing the topic.
Yes, that's the
the
word.
goal. Normalize the topic of talking about your emotion. Normalize the topic of talking about how you feel. Don't hide it. It is not a sign of weakness. It is not a sign of being lack of faith. It is a day-to-day normal feeling that needs help from professional, and there is help.
And lahat naman tayo at one point ng isang araw, malungkot tayo, hindi ba?
Exactly.
Ako din minsan, why am I feeling sad today? Sometimes it's the weather, when it's so dark outside, you can't see the sun. I used to live in Cincinnati, right?
Oh.
And in Cincinnati, at one point during the winter, you can't see the sun. And then you look outside, there's snow, and then the trees are all like twigs, right? There's no greenery. Siyempre, at that point na malulungkot ka na, parang nakaka-depress, hindi ba? Pero yun namang hindi depressed na to the point na kailangan mo ng medication. Ibig kong sabihin di ba yung pagsabi mo, nadidepress ako kasi walang sun, walang
and it's
yeah.
okay to say that.
Yes.
And it's okay to say because that's how you feel, and that's
Yes.
how you should be heard. And it's normal.
Yes.
Everyone have those moments. There are only specific times that the depression becomes so unbearable and becomes so deep that it prevents you from doing what you used to do in your routine, and it affects your life. That's the point that you need to seek help.
Pag hindi mo na magawa yung mga everyday na gawin
Oo.
mo, halimbawa hindi ka na makapagsipilyo sa umaga o gusto mo na lang mahiga, right? Iyon ang mga dapat na malaman ng ating mga kababayan.
Yeah, yung mga symptoms na yun.
Yes.
Matamlay ka, hindi mo na na-enjoy what you used to enjoy. Gusto mo sana, noon you enjoy going to movies, mag-swimming, ngayon, ayaw mo na.
O mag-dancing, o mag-dancing o kumanta.
Bigla na lang, I don't feel good. I don't want to do the dancing. I know I love it before, but I don't have the motivation to do it. Parang wala na akong energy to do that. Those are signs and telltale signs that there might be some depression creeping. Feeling mo hopeless, feeling mo worthless ka, hindi ka na, guilty ka palagi, you're not just anyone else, you're not good as anyone else. Those are symptoms of depression.
So, and there you have it. We could go on and on and on and talk about the depression, mental illness, PTSD, as October is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And I wanted to show you all the previous episodes that we have, because it's not only in the specific months that we need to be aware about these conditions and situations as the intimate partner violence, domestic violence that Dr. Rose Constantino mentioned. So we really need to have this awareness on a daily basis. That's basically the message that I wanted to portray out there or share with you out there. So all of these episodes are all available for you in iPod podcast, in iTunes. It's in the, as you can see, I pulled it out from the YouTube. So mga kababayan, all the previous episodes we have are going to help you on a daily basis. And not only you, but your loved ones in the community. And that's why we have Healthy Mondays to bring information and bring awareness, the health literacy that we're talking about. So I think, I have provided more than I have planned for the end of October. So hopefully we'll have new guests for the month of November. We were just so busy this month. Everybody, I had requested for a special guest and it just didn't pan out. But every time that we have special episodes, it's always refreshing to be able to bring you those information. So I hope that this segment of the last day of October had brought you additional information if you weren't able to watch the episodes that was broadcast a couple of years ago or even just recently. So stay safe. Get your flu shot. I got my flu shot the other day. We'll continue on having vaccine clinics, our APINO of Nevada, in partnership with Asian Community Development Council, and of course, our Student Nurse Association, APINO RASNA. So in the meantime, remember, our kababayans out there, every Monday is a healthy Monday. Aloha.